Stampers. This is Marie Bennett, and today I'm doing episode 2 or part 2 of the Your Sweet Valentine's Day videos, and we're using this stamp set, You Plus Me. Today we're going to be using 3 images: this circular You Plus Me image, this little heart with the arrows through it, and then this one that says Twitter-pated. And I'm using the clear stamps, so I need the acrylic stamping blocks. So I have put my stamps on 3 blocks. I used a size D for the You Plus Me, and a size D for Twitter-pated, and a size A for the little heart with the arrow running through it. And as you can see, I've put it corner to corner so the whole stamp will fit on this small acrylic block. Okay, in addition to those 3 stamps, we're using Strawberry Slush ink and Tuxedo Black ink. I'm using some paper out of the Stacked with Love paper stack, and I'm using these little sequins. They've got hearts and stars and little round sequins in them. Very pretty, sparkly. And I'm also using 2 punches, the 1 3/4 inch circle punch and the 2-inch circle punch. And then in addition to those tools, you'll need your bone folder. You'll need a piece of window sheet paper, not really paper, but a piece of window sheet. You'll need some snail, some dimensionals, and then these round dimensionals, and some Whisper White cardstock cut to the basic card size of 5.5 by 8.5. So when you get all those things gathered up, then we're ready to get started. We're going to be making this card today, and the window frame that I told you need earlier is to create this little pocket in the card, and we put some of those shiny sequins in there, and then we make what they call a shaker card, because when you shake it, things move around. And these little dimensionals that I couldn't remember the name of are called shaker frames. So you'll need just one of the large shaker frames, and I'll show you how to use that when we get to that point. Alright, the first thing we need to do is cut the paper that layers on top of the basic cardstock. So you need your Stampin' Trimmer, and then you'll need a piece of Strawberry Slush, or whatever color you have that you think will look good on this card, but it needs to be a color that will match the ink you put in the circle. So if you pick Pink Pirouette, for instance, as your basic color here, you'll want to use Pink Pirouette ink. So if you make those decisions while I get my cardstock, then we'll get started again. I have my Strawberry Slush cardstock, and I need to cut a piece that is 4 3/4 inches wide. And 3 3/4 the other way, 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so that will be the larger piece that goes one layer up from the main card. Now I need to cut a piece of Designer Series paper, and I think I'm going to use this. See, this is a scrap from the first card we made, so I'm going to use this, and it needs to be, I need this piece of paper to be 1/4 inch smaller going both directions. So it needs to be 4.5 by 3.5. And then when I put this on top of here, it just leaves a small frame all the way around, about 1/8 of an inch of a border all the way around. Now the easiest way to do the next step is to adhere this paper to this paper before we do anything else. So if you want to get out your snail adhesive, that's the next step. I'm going to put the adhesive on the back of the smaller piece of paper. Like that. And then I'm going to very carefully layer it on so that I have an even border all the way around. Like that. Okay, so if we look at the original card, we can see that there's a hole been punched through both of these layers. So I'm going to use my smaller one, the 1 3/4 inch punch, and I'm going to decide where do I want this hole to be. It doesn't really matter where you put it. A little closer to the bottom and off to one side is going to be easier for arranging the rest of the card. So I think I'll put it right here. And I try to get it straight like that. Okay. So now I have a hole punched all the way through both layers, 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to use my 2-inch punch right away and make a 2-inch round piece of window sheeting. Okay, I know that this plastic is going to be harder to punch than paper, so I'm putting my paper or my punch flat on the table. Then I'm going to push really hard until my circle comes out. And then, when you turn your punch over, then the plastic circle should just fall right into your hand. Okay, we're going to set this aside for later because right now we need to use that hole we punched in our top layer to figure out where to make our stamping. Okay, so now I have my 2 outer layers ready, and what I need to do is position those layers on the card base exactly where I want it to be. Then I'm going to stamp up this, or ink up this stamp, the You Plus Me stamp, and try it on my scratch paper, make sure it's good. It is. Ink it up again. And this time when I ink it up, I'm just going to leave it right here on the stamp pad to stay moist for a second. So I want to stamp my image in here, so I just need to make a mental note of where this is, and I'm going to do that by picking this up and just kind of keeping track that this is the center. This is where I want the center of this image to be. So I will hold it here, about move my finger out of the way because I think I got it in the right spot. Give it a little stamp. Pick it up. Very nice. And now when I put my layer over it, I can see that I have a little border here, a little border at the bottom, and larger borders on both sides, just the way I wanted it to look. So the next step is applying the window sheet to the outer layers. So you turn your outer layer over and get your little piece of window sheet that you cut and layer it over the hole so that it covers the whole hole. And the next step is to take a piece of the shaker frame dimensionals, and we're going to use the outer ring, the largest one, and it's not quite big enough, but we'll work it out. So what we need to do is just cut it like that. And the object is to seal this, to make a pocket that the sequins can stay in and move around in, but not fall out of the card. So the way we create this pocket is you take the sticky side. This side has a paper backing to it. So we are going to put the sticky side and layer it so that some of it touches the plastic and some of it touches the paper. So right on the edge of the plastic sheet. And then that way it will stick to the window sheet we're putting down, and it'll also stick to the card. So I just do that all the way around. And so like I said, it was not quite big enough, but that's okay. We'll just take a smaller ring and just cut a little piece out of it, and then stick that right there in that area that we didn't get to close. Okay, now nobody's going to see this part of the card, so it's okay if it doesn't look perfect. Now we're going to peel the paper off. Well, no, let's don't peel the paper off yet. First thing we need to do is put some sequins on our card. So you need to get your sequins. Okay, now I don't want to use the star shapes in this sequins assortment, but if you want to put in stars in your little shaker box, that's totally up to you. In fact, maybe I will too, because they are kind of cool. So you're going to need maybe, I'm going to say, a teaspoon of sequins. And you're just going to pile them in the middle here. I really want to have more hearts and circles than I do stars. So I think I might just take a minute and sort these out, and then I'll get back to you. So now I've made a little pile of sequins right here in the middle of this stamped image that I put on this card. And the next thing I need to do is remove the paper backing from the dimensional that is holding my window sheet to the top layer of my card. And then very carefully I turn that over and center it above the stamped image and give it a little press like that. So now it's stuck, and if I shake my card, as you can see, you see the stamp, you plus me, plus all these little things shake around in there. Now, there's one thing wrong with this card, and that is this top part needs some support. So that's where I just use the regular dimensionals and put a dimensional on each corner. Okay, so I went ahead and added a dimensional under each corner and another one in the center because it was just a little bit saggy, and I also put one in this bottom corner down here. So the very next step, if we look at the original card, all we have left to do is create this part of the card. And that is done using the same two circle punches that you used to make this design element down here. So we're going to use the 2-inch punch on, I'm going to use this paper this time, just because I don't want to mess up another whole sheet of paper. I just want to use some scraps, so I'll use this paper for the bottom, and then this paper out of the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And I think I'm going to do my stamping first. So I wanted to say Twitter-pated, and I'm going to use the Memento Black on this pink paper right here for both the Twitter-pated and the little heart with the arrow. So start out with Twitter-pated, and I need my scrap paper so I can tell if my stamp has got enough ink. Ink it up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So just ink it up again, and then I want it Twitter-pated right here. And I'm going to cut it before I stamp that last layer. Okay. And I want this little heart to be closer to the top. I'll put it right there. All right. Now the only thing left, close up my ink so my ink pad doesn't dry, is to take your snail and put it on the back of the smaller piece. And then we're going to try to center that so that the darker one makes a frame. And then turn that over. And I'm going to use 4 dimensionals on this because it's kind of a large circle. So I'll put one like that across from each other so that it will support it on the card really well. Okay, then I need to take the backing off of the dimensionals, and I want it to be up here in the corner like this. There, and my card is done. Twitter-pated, You Plus Me. And here's the original. And you can see that when you use different papers, it does change just a little bit the way the card looks. So you can be creative. You don't have to use a Whisper White for your card base, but you do need to use a color that will allow the stamp to show through. So you would need a lighter color like Pink Pirouette or Blushing Bride or even Crisp Cantaloupe or Pistachio Pudding. Some lighter color so that when you stamp on it you can read the greeting through the color of the card. Alright, well, this is kind of a difficult card to make, so I'm just going to wish you good luck, and if it doesn't work out for you the first time you try it, just keep trying. You'll get it right. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.